When it comes to Doctor Who, we've seen a lot of big names enter the Tardis stores, whether it be as a companion, a recurring villain of some kind, or a one-off character in a guest starring role. And it's Doctor Who's shot of adrenaline with the Disney Plus deal that's actually got me thinking about some big names that could appear in the show in the near-ish future. Now, Who is no stranger to acting canon, as a lot of brilliant actors have appeared on the show, with Tom Ellis, Simon Pegg and Andrew Garfield instantly coming to mind. However, with Doctor Who Season 2 currently airing, I wanted to take a look into the far future of the show, and talk about some actors and actresses that I think should perhaps join the Whoniverse at some point down the line. Now, when crafting this list, I have gone for a mix of actors that either have a history of working with Russell T Davies in their acting careers, along with some of my own personal choices. So without any further delay, let's dive into the list. You know him either for his band Years and Years or for starring as Richie Tozier in RTD's critically acclaimed drama It's a Sin alongside Neil Patrick Harris. I think it would be very interesting to see what Ollie could do in the show, whether as a recurring character or even as a one-off guest star. Now, Russell is of course no stranger to casting actors that he's worked with in the past before, with one of the earlier examples being Russell Tovey, who starred in Voyager of the Damned back in 2007 and then went on to work with Russell once more in the TV show Years and Years, not to be confused with the name of Ollie's band. And one of the more recent examples is Neil Patrick Harris, who after working with Russell in It's a Sin went on to bring to life the Toymaker from Doctor Who's classic era, and I've got to say he did a damn good job. Now, regarding what role he could play, I think Ollie has enough acting talent to perhaps play a companion. Based on his work in It's a Sin, I think he has that range to join the Doctor for a trip or two. Perhaps recognised more for her breakout role as Maeve Wiley in Sex Education, Emma Mackey has begun making her name for herself outside of the show, having starred in Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie alongside the incumbent Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, which I have to admit was a pleasant surprise. And very recently, Emma was recently announced to be starring in Greta Gerwig's Narnia film over at Netflix. Now, I think Mackey herself has a fair chance of possibly appearing in the show, given that she and Ncuti have worked together before on 2 separate occasions, and I'm hoping that Russell may have noticed the chemistry they had and has perhaps taken note of that. Now, I could definitely see Emma perhaps appearing as a recurring character, possibly for maybe 3 episodes, but that would depend on whether or not she's interested and how much money Disney would be willing to throw at the show. Soap fans know him best for his more villainous turn as Grey Atkins on EastEnders. Toby Alexander Smith is a brilliant actor, and I would love to see what he could do in Doctor Who, whether it be in front of the camera or perhaps contributing to the writing side of things, something that Toby has pursued after leaving Albert Square. Now, given his work as Grey on the show, I would love to see Toby play a villain of some kind, or better yet, playing a new incarnation of the Master. Now, whilst I did love him in the role to a very good degree, I don't see Sacha Dhawan returning to the role on screen for now, as I imagine Russ will want an actor perhaps more in line with Ncuti as the Doctor in terms of looks and personality. Now, if you watch the first episode of my animated Doctor Who reboot, The Masquerade Game, you'll notice the look of the Master in that animation, and that's because I deliberately made this take on the character resemble Toby, as it's a role I'm very eager to see him tackle on screen. Whether he would say yes does depend on his interest in acting at the moment. He's played Alan Grant in Jurassic Park and auditioned for the role of James Bond. Sam Neill is a brilliant actor, also known for his work alongside Cillian Murphy in Peaky Blinders as Inspector Campbell, and I would be very interested to see what an actor with his prowess and talent could bring to the show. I could very easily see Neill in the role of a one-off villain or as a guest star in a future episode. The chances are limitless, but given Sam Neill's current health issues, that may limit the chances of this happening. Another case of working with previous actors, Emma Thompson has quite appropriately, worked with RTD before in Years and Years, playing a politician, and I think Emma herself would be brilliant as an incarnation of the Rani. Now, the Rani herself is an interesting villain for two reasons, these being that the character has not been seen on screen or in expanded media following the Time War. If not the Rani, then maybe even for a one-off episode perhaps, though Emma has quite an extensive acting career, so a one-off villain might not be enough for her, though it depends on what Russell wants to do. Okay, this may be a very ambitious choice, I know, but there are factors that make Ryan Gosling appearing in Doctor Who very possible. Firstly, he's a fan of the show, and much like Emma Mackey, has worked with Ncuti Gatwa in the Barbie movie, so it would be brilliant to see what an actor like Gosling could bring to the show. He's got brilliant humour as demonstrated in The Nice Guys and his work as one of the many Kens. And he's also shown a more dramatic and emotional side in films such as La La Land, so Russell, start taking notes. Yep, another case of working with previous actors, but this one is actually quite recent, so hear me out. Helena Bonham Carter is a brilliant actress, having worked with Tim Burton on 7 separate occasions, but she's also widely known for her work as Bellatrix Lestrange in the Harry Potter movies. Still don't understand why there's a reboot on the way though. Anyway, I think there's a fair chance of Helena having a guest appearance on the show, given she's more recently worked with RTD on the new 3-part drama Nolly, so I think this has a very fair chance of happening. Before Ncuti's casting as the new Doctor, Andrew Lincoln was one of my top choices to become the next incarnation, alongside the likes of Michael Sheen and Hayley Atwell. Sadly that didn't happen, but I would still be up for seeing Andrew in the show later down the line. Widely recognised these days for his work as Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead, Andrew can clearly portray a lot of emotion and show a lot of range in his wide belly of work. Now, whilst it would be great to see him take on the mantle of the Doctor, depending on how long Ncuti Gatwa decides to stay for, which hasn't been confirmed right now, I think it would be interesting to see Lincoln portray the Valeyard, another villain that we haven't seen since the classic run of Doctor Who. There's still a lot of mysteries to the Valeyard, and we are yet to discover his supposed origins. Is he another Time Lord? Is he perhaps a future version of the Doctor? Was he manipulated by the Master and all the Time Lords? We'll never know, but I'd love to see RTD write a compelling story and possibly answer this mystery once and for all. We know he's recently done that sort of with the Midnight Entity and continued that story, so in my mind, anything's possible. But that's going to bring a close to this video. If there's any actors that you would love to see in Who down the line, whether it be as a villain, a hero, or as a companion even, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your suggestions.